Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan, Tim.
And today I'm going to talk about a topic that I have had sitting in the chamber for 2.5, almost 3 months. And that is my frustration with the current lack of separation of church and state. I have gone on and on about this in bits and pieces throughout other episodes, specifically episodes from way back a year ago when we started the show. So back when it was me and Danny, and we did the first episode, J-Man for President, in 2020, which still stands, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm totally down with making Mr. Trump a one-term president if he makes it without being assassinated or impeached. That's not me telling anybody to do anything.
No inciting violence.
Yeah. So, first off, whether you are very religious or completely non-religious, such as myself, and as I've explained in the past, I was raised Catholic in the church. I went to Catholic school, kindergarten through 12th grade. Mainly by choice for high school, but that was because of the small class sizes and I liked the school. So I had that shit piss-pounded into my brain without any choice for years before I finally developed my own sense of self about it. And I kind of felt gypped that I was never given a choice. My parents never preached any other faiths. They never talked about Judaism or Buddhism or any of that shit. It was always just Jesus. We're Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your house?
Pretty much the same thing. I didn't go to a Catholic school. I went to a public school. But I had to go to once a night, one night a week classes at CCD classes. But I don't know what CCD stands for. And to learn about the Christian faith and all that and do little worksheets and stuff. And I had to do that all until I got confirmed. Well, I did reconciliation. Then I got confirmed when I was a freshman in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was pretty much the end of it for me. I only go to church when I go to a wedding or a funeral. I don't openly practice it. I'm not against it, but that's how I do my thing with that deity is yep, you're there. Okay, that's fine, but you're not a huge force in my life, I guess.
Well, if it's there and I'm wrong, it's just kind of like there, letting bad shit happen. It's not our place to ask why.
The only other religion my dad ever talked about was Jehovah's Witnesses, and it was usually just making fun of them for coming to the door.
In my house, we brought up the Jewish faith every so often, but only when we called each other a Jew. Or talked about kiking something from somebody.
I can see that happening at your house.
So that blame my high school, because I didn't talk like that until I got to Totino Grace. All right. So, whatever beliefs our founders came from similar backgrounds. Right? Most were Protestants. The largest number were raised in 3 of the largest Christian traditions of colonial America. Anglicanism, like George Washington. Presbyterianism, like whoever Richard Stockton and the Reverend John Witherspoon are. I don't know who they are. Congregationalism, like John Adams or Samuel Adams.
Always a good choice.
Yeah. And other Protestant groups like the Society of Friends, Quakers, Lutherans, the Dutch Reformed, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so this country was founded by people that left Europe, many of them the original settlers that came to Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Maryland. They settled to seek religious freedom and leave the Church of England. They desired a break from the Church of England. They did not like how it was run. They wanted to establish their own new church, their own faith here.
Yes,
so
that's what I was taught.
Here. And then the second wave came, and they were Puritans. But they didn't want to break from the Church of England. They wanted to purify it. They did not think that it was strict enough, so they left there to come here. So you've got people like, yeah, that church is full of shit. We're going to go over there. Then you get the people like, this church is not full of enough shit. We're going to go over there.
We're going to go over there.
Good idea.
2 polar opposites. All right.
And then you come to one spot, and then you've also got, hundreds of different tribes. It had to be hundreds of tribes. It can't be like a dozen tribes. There's dozens of tribes per some territories, depending upon landmass.
And they all kind of have their own religion as well.
Similar, yes, but it's different.
It's like they all worship God stuff. I think they worship slightly different gods. I don't think they all the sun god and the god of wheat and the god of buffalo or anything. I don't know. I haven't spent too much time studying.
A lot of their belief systems
Native Americans.
were founded in praising the earth and holding the sun and the moon on high, and and worshiping nature for what it provided. Nobody over here was like, yeah, but what if there was like just one guy?
Yeah.
And that one guy did all of this. Wouldn't that be
yeah.
so fucking crazy if we are sitting here saving bison bones for no good reason and there's just like one guy? Wouldn't that be weird?
So, what do you think?
Let's chop off some people's heads and kick them down a flight of stairs because, Mel Gibson, Apocalypto.
What is wrong with you?
One guy.
Right. So we have a nation that was founded under religious beliefs. And what that has developed into since then is a system of Christian preference. All right? Mm-hmm. You hear, in God we trust. It's on our currency. Mm-hmm. And it's been there since 1864. Due to Abraham Lincoln's Secretary of the Treasury, in the middle of the Civil War, he received a letter from a Pennsylvania minister requesting some recognition of God in a national motto. And then it found its way onto the currency in the thick of the Cold War around the same time. And for the same reasons, under God was then added to the Pledge of Allegiance as part of, the cultural war on godless communism in a 1955 congressional vote.
Yep.
So that placed the motto on all the money. First appeared in 1864, and then by 1955, the year my old man got shot out of my grandmother's baby pouch, it was on all the money. That I got from the Daily Beast. So you think about that. That's very powerful. It's on all of our money. It's in the Pledge of Allegiance. And what's one of our mottos? God bless America.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I get it that it's meant to unify us. But much like words like nigger and faggot used to be okay, and separate but equal and Jim Crow law were something we practiced around here, mm-hmm. we don't need that shit anymore. We're too diversified a people. And I'm not saying that being a theist or a non-theist, such as myself, either one is right, but it's not fair to have preference towards one side.
So would you be willing to just put on half the money?
I'd say strike it from all of it.
Okay.
Say you're a Muslim, and you're strictly Muslim. You're almost fundamentalist, extremist Muslim. Not the kind that straps a bomb to his chest and goes and blows up a bank or something, but you're so fucking Muslim that you get angry at other people that worship gods that aren't Allah. And then you look at the currency, and it says, in God we trust. It doesn't say, in Allah we trust. There's a preference towards the Christian God. Everything is stooped in beliefs around Jesus Christ or the Holy Trinity. Mm-hmm. It skews to that. Nobody talks about the Muslim right. They talk about the religious right, but what are they talking about? Christians.
I suppose you could take it that way. That's not how I.
That's how I take it, because that's when somebody mentions the religious right. What that is it's a term to describe right-wing religious politicos. All right, and they operate and push an agenda according to biblical principles. That means they are staunchly anti-LGBTQ rights, anti-divorce, anti-abortion, anti-porn, anti-stem cell research, and apparently anti-common sense.
Anti-porn? How can these people survive?
I don't know. By fucking only one person for the rest of their life who's the only partner they've ever had, and they only do it missionary when they want to make a baby.
Oh my God, could you imagine?
Because that never turned anybody into an asshole.
Missionary is so boring.
It is boring. Every now and then you want to put a finger somewhere. Or something in a mouth.
I just want to look at you from behind. I want to fuck you, but I don't want to look at you.
Sometimes I want to get down on my knees while you're on all fours and spread your cheeks while I'm inside you and examine your beehole.
Giggity!
The bloomin' onion.
But the religious right does not think that's okay. That's apparently akin to sodomy. So those same principles are eschewed by the Family Research Council. Have you heard of them?
Nope.
You're probably for the better. They promote, quote, family values and a socially conservative set of policies. Much as what I just stated with the religious right. Right? These are people that don't even think that gays should be able to adopt babies.
These are people that need to keep their religion inside their fucking house.
This is the pray away the gay crowd.
Yeah, I'm getting that. But...
Yeah. All right. And the Family Research Council was founded by one James Dobson, he's not a minister. He's like an evangelical Christian guy. He's like a figurehead that preaches. He's like the head of this movement. He's never been an ordained minister, but he's like their guy.
Mm-hmm.
And also, for a while, the Family Research Council was associated with Josh Duggar. Do you recognize that name?
It's ringing a bell. I'm not placing it.
He is the son from the uber-conservative religious family, the Duggars, from 19 Kids and Counting.
Isn't it that TLC show or whatever?
Yeah. He's the same guy that it came out last year that he had Ashley Madison accounts to cheat on his wife, and that once upon a time ago, he snuck into his sister's bedroom during a sleepover and fondled a few of them, and his family just kind of swept it under the rug because they didn't want to ruin his life, and then they kind of shamed the sisters for tempting him.
No, I would have ruined his life.
These are the people that want to be in charge of all of the way that the government policies are decided. They want all of us to have their mindset.
No.
And I have an extreme problem with that because I don't believe in this shit.
I don't really believe in it either. No.
And Jesus Christ, the religious right with the Family Research Council has before been classified as an anti-gay hate group. They're that militantly anti-gay.
It kind of seems like it if they don't even want gay people to adopt. I mean, it's sad. Gay people are gay people, It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Why can't it go to, I'll live my life, you live your life, and if we don't like each other's lives, we don't have to talk? Why does one side, the far left or the far right, want to fucking control everything?
Because people are meddlesome and they feel they know better than others and they want to control everyone.
I'm curious what kind of size this group is. I mean, is there any estimates of how many people actually follow that bullshit?
I didn't look at the numbers, but you got to believe that there's a lot of them.
See, I would think there's very few that are that extreme.
Not openly. It ain't a very popular idea these days to go around and saying, oh, you there, gays that just got married. Well, congratulations on that right that I think you have no fucking business being entitled to because it's an abomination against God. Look at those people that had that cake store in Oregon.
Yeah.
It just shut down. They refused to make a cake for a lesbian couple who brought it to the media, who nailed them to a cross, no pun intended. And then it ruined their business. Now, I'm not okay with that. I don't feel like the libtards should go around like, how fucking dare you?
See, and that's what I'm talking about when I say, why does one side fucking need to dictate one way or the other? I mean, okay, these people are against gays, fine. They can be that small-minded. They have a business, fine. Run that business how they want. And if they want to piss everybody off, if they want to not bake a cake because they're staunchly against gays, that's their business. Okay? But I don't think the gay people have a right to go out there and destroy that business just because of it. Go somewhere else and get a cake. You get a cake in a million different places. You can get a million different customers that aren't gay. I mean, see what I'm getting at? Yeah, this is just stupidity here, right here.
It's more or less that they felt slighted. But here's the thing about that. When you have somebody with differing views than you, you shouldn't take it personally.
Exactly. It's just small-mindedness, whatever. I mean, you grew up in a little corner. You can't take everything that someone else does personally.
But here's a slippery slope. When we use phrases like your prejudice against gays, you're small-minded against liberal gay rights, you're attaching a negative connotation that comes from your belief system. You're saying you're wrong versus saying you're different and I don't agree. And that's where they've come into this sparring of ideals, where you've got these traditionalists that have always had the backing of the government, which was founded by religious theists and sometimes zealots, like fucking absolute godmongers. Mm-hmm. They're like, cool, yeah, fuck the Native Americans. Get the fuck off this fertile land and go farm the desert or the swamp. We don't care. Fuck you. Have some blankets.
What is this?
Yeah.
There's a joke in there that I didn't make explicitly. So, and as I stated in the episode we did about Columbus Day, when the European settlers got here, when the Spanish came here, they thrust Jesus upon the Native Americans and said, this is your God now. If you're going to live here with us, this is the God. You've been doing it all wrong. And that's still what's kind of going on. They're not openly saying, in God we trust, fuck you, atheists. But they kind of are. It's a passive-aggressive form of intolerance, and it's still preference. And I take issue with how Christianity is held above all other religious ideals, theisms or atheism. I mean, look what happened to the natives, as I just stated.
Mm-hmm.
Totally screwed up everything about their culture, stole their land, tried to warp their minds. Even to this day, our government still wars with native tribes over what to do with orphaned children that are partially native-blooded. There's, I think it was California, there was some foster child whose parents died. And it was placed in foster care with this family who wants to adopt it because they've had her for 2 or 3 years. But the tribe said, no, fuck you. They came and took her away. Only family this child's ever really known to remember since her brain's developed enough to recall who she's associated with. And then some aunts and uncles come and say, no, you got to come be with your people. Whole nother can of worms there.
Yeah, see, what's the right or wrong way to handle that? I don't know. I guess I'd just say if I was in your tribe, I'd be like, you people have been taking care of her. You guys seem to love her. She seems to love you. But, we would really like it if she came and spent time with us, too.
If only it was that peaceful, but they see it as a destruction or a further trivialization of their culture. And it's the same thing that you do by letting this mindset persist with the God, God, God all across America. People don't want one nation under God in the Pledge of Allegiance. I just told you right there that it got added during the fucking Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
So prior to that, the nation was functioning fine without one nation under God. It was just one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah. Why not go back to that? Well, you can't take the God out of the Pledge of Allegiance. They say it's a war on faith. And it's not really a war on faith that I'm seeing it as. It's me and people of my same mindset trying to level the playing field. You wouldn't like it if I came into your schools and gave a class presentation to your kids about atheism. Mm-hmm. They would shit kittens if I came in and said, let me tell you why I don't think there's a God and your parents are probably full of shit. That school would have a field day with me, and the parents would go nuts and call the media, and it'd be like a 24-hour, week-long news cycle of the war on God in public schools.
Are you for sure that would happen? Because the last bunch of headlines that I've seen over the last few years, anything that has to do with Christianity, not allowed in schools. But Muslims can come in and pray. Buddhists can come in and pray. I guess really atheism doesn't bring a whole lot to the table as far as, well, we need to be recognized this way, or we need to have Satan or whatever. You guys, atheists are just down low, calm, cool, doing their own thing.
Yeah, the Satanists get a little crazy with the blood drinking and the sacrifices and shit.
I mean, the way I see it is Christians are prosecuted. I don't think if you went in there and tried to talk about atheism, there would be an uproar. There'd be an uproar from parents who are the Christian right, and maybe some
even
slightly less
Muslims.
religious people, but still religious. But, I mean, they allow Muslims to do their prayers in public school. Well, if they can do their prayer in public school, why can't Christians?
This is why they have not been able to figure this issue out.
That's why it's either everybody gets to do it or nobody gets to do it. No exceptions. Don't give a flying fuck what your religion is.
Well, I think it was the Genio turkey plant in Wisconsin where they had a bunch of Muslims that demanded that they be allowed time to pray on the clock.
Yeah,
and the company caught flack for saying, no, you're fired. You either do your job as expected and leave your religion at home, or you don't work here. This is a business. Mm-hmm. It's not a mosque, and I'm fine with that.
I was fine with it too. I was like, you don't want to do your job, then don't have it.
And it's not that the people that own Genio are being insensitive to Muslims. They run a fucking business.
How long is the Muslim call to prayer anyway? I mean,
5 times a day.
I know it's 5 times a day, but like, how long are the sessions, quote unquote?
I don't know, 15, 20 minutes maybe.
You got to do that twice during work, extra half hour. So do it on your lunch break.
Well, that's not. You're not meeting your 5 times quota. I get. Then you got to make sure that you're pointing your head towards
east, towards Mecca.
Yeah, all that shit. With the head wraps and all that crap. Just this week in Coon Rapids, I think it was yesterday, some girl at Coon Rapids High School had her hijab yanked off her head and thrown on the ground, and then somebody pulled her ponytail down.
Leave her alone.
It's stupid, but then also this Muslim group is pissed off that it took the school a week to figure out how to deal with it. You want to know why it took them a week to figure out how to deal with it?
Because they couldn't figure out how not to offend anybody.
Right. And they're like, well, what the fuck do we do? This has probably never happened before. At least not recently enough that it's going to be hyper-publicized.
I got it. Tell the assholes that did it, you fucking leave her alone, put them in school suspension for a few days, and if they do it again, you expel them. Sorry.
Simple. Unless you've got parents that are like, well, now you're giving preference to the Muslims. So, like, if you got a daughter who's wearing a crucifix necklace and somebody rips it off of her and throws it down and says, fuck your God.
There we go.
It's the same precedent there.
Same precedent, you just handle it the same way. You punish those who did it. Are you showing preference to any religion? No, but you're
handling it the same across the board.
You're not the same way. Yeah, you're not giving preference, but you're not denying anybody their right to religion.
But now what we have in this country are a large portion of politicians that are very religious, and they vote with their religious conscience, not their moral conscience or what their social conscience should be. Like, if I was in politics, even if I was a member of the GOP, which would be a cold day in hell, I would never vote to block gay marriage. Because it doesn't affect me. It has nothing to do with my ability to live happily.
Exactly.
But that's what some of these religious nutcases feel like. Is you can't take God off of money and out of the Pledge of Allegiance, and you can't stop saying, God bless America. Donald Trump, he didn't end his acceptance speech with God bless America.
I didn't listen to it.
It was, thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Bless us all. Thank you so much. I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what he said.
Okay, well, that was a wise move.
He was the first one since Ronald Reagan in, I think, 84 to not end his speech with God bless America. Why does God need to bless America? Why not just say, in America, bless us all, let us be united as one. It's the same message.
It's the same message, but you're not pointing out a particular deity. You're including every religion. Which is why I thought that was a smart move on Trump's part.
It is, but let's put it
and Reagan.
In really strict layman's common sense type of terms here. If you think that Russia's about to launch a nuke, are you going to drop to a knee like Tim Tebow and ask God to stop the missile? Or are you going to grab the red phone and start rattling off fucking launch codes at the Pentagon for somebody to launch counter ballistics to save us?
Ooh, me.
Yeah?
I'd take option B. I'll grab that red phone and start calling in some codes.
No shit. It's why it's just so facetious to me that people are so pro-God in our government. Like, let's say that we did away with all religion and religious influence in government. Now, nobody's trying to undo Roe versus Wade. They say it's about life. It's about their moral compass being defined by a religious mindset. You're killing one of God's children. You're killing an unborn baby. Why the hell should the government tell a woman what to do with her body? Especially in the case of rape. They're like, well, even in the case of rape, that baby could be adopted out. Cool, but there's still a living, breathing, walking, 24-hour fucking reminder of this woman being victimized somewhere on the planet. And one day, statistically speaking, that kid's going to come knocking on the door. Mm-hmm. Even if you say, I don't want you to find me, in today's world, especially in the digital age.
Way too easy.
They're going to fucking find you, and it ain't going to be that hard.
It ain't going to be pretty.
There's some private eye somewhere that'll take a handful of $100 bills to go and break ethics to find the information to say, there's your birth mom. By the way, you were a rape baby. Oh, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
So, without revealing too much about this person's identity, somebody I know was raped and made the very difficult decision to have the abortion. Not just because it was a rape baby, but because it could have killed them due to their already compromised immune system.
Mm-hmm. Understandable, yeah.
But the religious right, and some of those people would still say, you shouldn't abort that baby. That's a child.
Yeah, despite the fact for me personally, I've never been a proponent of abortions. I've always have, though. I mean, you can ask friends I went to high school with. I've always said, in cases of rape, incest, a mortal threat to the mother, I was always like, that would be fine. But if you're using it as a form of birth control, I've never really been cool with. But in the last several years, I've actually changed it. And it goes, you can get your abortion. I get to buy my guns. You get to be gay and be married. I get to raise my children how I want. If I want to spank them, I can spank them. You know, that kind of stuff.
Live and let live.
It's personal freedom. You do what you want because it's your life. I'll do what I want because it's my life. Okay? I don't want to have you tell me I can't do something, and in return, I won't tell you you can't do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There. It's to me that's just to me like the definition of libertarian.
That's a dirty word in some circles. They don't take us seriously. So now the religious right's betting on Trump because he made some comment to the effect of he didn't agree with the constitutional amendment to grant the right to gay marriage. That he thought it should be undone.
Who said that? Because I just read an article that says he actually said, no, that's a done law. We're not touching it. We're not taking it away.
Now, he's kind of a flip-flopper. He goes hyper extreme, then he backpedals. But he also is kind of for limiting gay and transgender rights. All this fight talk over bathrooms, his idea is whatever you got downstairs, that's where you go pee. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Seems hateful to very sensitive PC idiots, but that's kind of his mindset. So religious right is hitching its wagon to Trump. That's why they got behind him.
You know, if you're a guy dressed like a girl and I can't tell the difference and you go into a woman's bathroom, like, we had a speaker come to my school for my Health 2 class, and it was a dude in drag. Okay? But honestly, when he first walked in, I just like, who's this chick? You know, I guess I'd be fine with that. But if you're obviously a guy going into a woman's bathroom, I'm not cool with that, you know?
How many seconds into the presentation or how many minutes into the classroom did he identify that she was a he?
The very second he started talking.
Oh, okay.
One of the
So it was
girls
like,
raised his
"Hi, I'm..."
Yeah, he used
I'm
his normal
Melissa.
voice. But when you looked at him, he's like, it's a woman, you know? I didn't, like, judge. And then one of the girls in the class raised her hand. It's like, can you, because he was talking, he uses a female voice. And she's like, well, can you do your female voice for us so we can hear it? He's like, I refuse to. You need to see it as it is and how I am. When I came to your office and I talked to them, I used my woman's voice. But I came here in your class, I'm talking to my male voice.
How many guys in the class do you think started raising the flag up the pole there before they realized, oh, God, it's not a woman? And then they just went, pew!
I was the only guy in the class.
Oh, that's weird.
There was one of my friends in there, and he convinced me to stay in the class. Because I walked in there, 28 girls, 2 guys, me and Darren. And I told him, I says, dude, I think I'm going to drop this class. You know, I could go down in the wood shop and be more productive. He's like, no, stay in the class. It'll be great. You know, and I'm like, all right, fine, I'll stay. The very next day, he dumps the class. I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Did he drop it before you had the ability to not be stuck with it? There's like a grace period.
There's a grace period. I think at my school it was like 3 days, and he dropped it. And by the time I was like, well, maybe I'll drop out, it was too late.
Oh,
so I stayed in there the whole class for the whole semester, and we did a project where we had to pick a social thing like teen pregnancy and stuff like that, and teen drug use. And I was the only guy in the class, so every girl wanted me. The teen pregnancy team wanted me on their team.
What he pulled, classic dick move.
You bastard!
So now, and this is me getting to the meat and potatoes of this, is the religious right betting on Trump in a climate of social, political, progressive thinking. They think that they've got a candidate they got behind that's somewhat minded like them, that they can hammer home this conservative agenda, and he's going to appoint conservative Supreme Court justices, and it's going to hamstring the left's ability to do anything else progressive so that we can be caught in this constant state of pro-religious, pro-conservative status quo.
I'm not really sure what he's going to do.
Nor am I, but that's essentially their mindset.
That's probably what they're thinking, but based off of what I have seen out of him through my whole life, that's not him. I don't think he's as conservative as people think. And I don't, what I've seen of him, I didn't follow him too much because it's for whatever reasons. But I never viewed him as being hardcore conservative or any of that. I mean, he's already promised to protect gays from the Muslim extremists, and he's already said he's going to keep the gay marriage thing around. And that's cool. I don't have a problem with any of that. It's just, if people thought he was going to overturn the gay marriage, then they were dead wrong from the start. Because I never ever picked that up from what little snippets of him I saw.
Well, he also is kind of he also is anti-Roe versus Wade. He does not like abortion. And once again, here is now the president-elect trying to use his own personal morals to dictate how the rest of the country is able to live their lives.
Has he gone out and said that he's going to use his
He has
moral
made
compass?
comments against Roe versus Wade, that him and his party both firmly believe it should be overturned. Now, you just said, why would we revisit the gay marriage thing? It's been decided. Mm-hmm. Trump even said, no, I'm cool with that. It's done. I don't want to go backwards.
Roe versus Wade is the
but
same
Roe
situation.
versus Wade has been around for fucking,
way
40-some
longer,
years,
yeah.
since the 70s?
No, I have to sit here and cross my fingers that he doesn't play this to the extreme right. He looks at like Roe versus Wade, don't want abortion? Don't get one, all right?
Right.
I am not going to tell somebody what to do. That's probably why you and I would make good presidents. Anyway, but I'm hoping he just kind of goes down that middle line, and instead of trying to go extreme right or extreme left, which is why I think a lot of people don't like Hillary, she's extreme left, most of the people running for the nomination in the GOP was extreme right, mm-hmm. And I didn't watch too much of it, so if he was presenting himself as extreme right, then he fooled a lot of people, because I think he's going to be more down the middle.
He was right of center. But this is why these people and their mindset are allowed to persist, because we have all this God imagery and this aura of religious preference sewn into the moral fabric of American history and our government. So they feel entitled to push these agendas on people because they've always had the ability to, because they think, well, look at it, it's always been one nation under God. We've always been in God we trust. Everything about the way this country was founded by our forefathers were religious. They would be against this. So that's why I'm against this. That's why I don't feel like I should shut my mouth and let you live your life, because this is a tradition. It's a part of what America is and who we are.
I can see why they make that argument like that, but, am I the only one out there that views in God we trust, God bless them, as any God, whatever religion you practice? Am I the only one that ever really viewed it that way? I look at in God we trust on money. I never was like, that's Jesus the Father, I never was like, oh, that's Christianity right there. I was like, well, that's a God, and that's for everybody.
I have, because I was always raised around it, and it was browbeaten into my mind.
See, we come from different areas there. I never looked at it that way.
I was immersed in it, and I've always understood it to be an ethos of Christian preference. And the problem with that is it marginalizes non-theists, such as myself.
Yeah.
Here's what brought me to this whole idea for the show.
Well, let's get back to the Bible, America's favorite national theatrical prop.
If I ever have to go on the stand and testify, what will they ask me to do?
Right, raise your right hand, put your left hand on the Bible.
Exactly. Now, I'm faced with a very strict moral quandary there. Do I go with the flow so that I'm more likely to be taken seriously, or do I honor myself and my own ideals and say, I'm actually atheist. I don't believe in that book. I promise that I will tell the truth. I will swear on a copy of the Constitution, because we're in America, and that is the governing document of this nation. But if I say I refuse to swear on an oath on a Bible, they are going to think I'm a fucking nutcase. They are going to instantly, it's going to drastically affect my plausibility, and they're most likely going to judge me differently, like right out of the gate. They're going to probably trivialize or outright denounce my testimony as worthwhile, because they're going to think I'm nuts, either due to their own religious influence or the fact I won't go with the flow.
I was just going to say that it probably depends on who's on the jury and who the hell the lawyers are.
That's the thing, though. It shouldn't matter.
No, it shouldn't.
If somebody says, I will swear an oath on my birth certificate, I will swear an oath on the flag, I will swear an oath on... We have a system that, once again... And this is bigger than the money and the in God we trust for me. When you're in court, you're either defending yourself, or you're defending somebody else, or you're trying to prosecute somebody else and you're the victim, and you say, I refuse to do things your way, you have already right out of the gate come up lame, and you're the last horse to cross that finish line. Because that's tradition. That's, quote, how it's done. That's just the way it is. Why can't you do it? Because I don't believe in your God. Because that book was written by human beings that dictated the message. History is remembered by the victors, not those that died on the battlefield for a losing cause. So here I am with this big catch-22.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could just do it. But then if somebody goes, well, hey, you're an atheist. You don't even believe in God. Now you've questioned the legitimacy of my testimony. I say, I don't want to swear in your Bible. Now they're going to question the legitimacy of my sanity for not going with the flow. They're going to go, well, maybe his testimony's bullshit. Oh, he doesn't believe in God? What kind of person doesn't believe in God?
Doesn't believe in God, and yet he just swore in a Bible?
Right. And then you got people pissing and moaning about the Ten Commandments being featured inside or outside or near a courthouse. The criminal justice system, the symbol of it is justice. It's a woman holding the scales of justice
And
with a
she's
blindfold.
blindfolded.
Nowhere on her that I'm aware is she wearing a crucifix.
Nope.
She's not nailed to a cross. It's not Jesus nailed to a cross and there's the scales hanging off the opposite sides of the ends of the crucifix. So what am I to do? This is why I threw this whole episode idea together. It drove me fucking nuts. If I ever have to go to court with the beast, and I guarantee you it'll come down to it, because I almost had to go to court with her back around Valentine's Day for her with the domestic assault. They got thrown out because they didn't think it was worth the time and the money. So I'm duly victimized because they've trivialized my concern that this is the third or fourth time I've been abused, and this is the first time I've decided enough is enough, I'm going to press charges because she did it in front of the girls. So now I go into court to testify against her, and I'm thinking, well, fuck. They're going to make me put my hand on the Bible? Or is that more just me thinking with a television mindset? You're swearing an oath to tell the truth. Why do we swear it on the Bible? That's not fucking fair.
Yeah, supposedly the Bible's supposed to make you pure or something like that. But if you look at that Bible, that ain't purity at all.
It's not. It's shit that I don't believe in.
I'd rather see people, like you used an example, put their hand on the Constitution.
Or the flag. Why don't we have a statue of justice on the corner of every judge's desk? And there's a spot on the base of the scale of justice to place your right hand, and then you raise your left hand.
I like that.
Okay? You're swearing on the criminal justice system because you're in a court of the American law system.
I like that a lot.
Nothing to do with God there. There's no,
It has to do with justice.
He doesn't believe in God. You see, all this doubt comes into my mind, and it's a fear that I could get called for jury duty. And they'll be like, what the fuck? You know, never mind that I'll probably get weeded out in the screening phase by saying something.
Yeah.
Probably on purpose to get tossed out because I don't want to do jury duty.
I can spot guilty people just like that.
Right. Like, well, just so you know, I work in a jail, so I'm probably going to hear what this guy has to say and go, fuck you. You're so fucking guilty. Tell me what he did first. Let's find out. It's a she? What did she do? Oh, she shot her husband for raping her.
Point to her.
Not guilty by reason of insanity.
Not guilty by doing the right fucking thing.
That's a crime of passion. That's go. Sign me up. Let's go. I want to give her a hug. But I can't do that. If you want to defend yourself in court, they're going to think you're nuts. And it rarely works because you don't know the machinations of the criminal justice system and how to properly cross-examine witnesses. You know, there was a case to which I knew the accused. Not personally. I met them via work. I won't say specifically what happened to protect this guy's data privacy, but he was accused of being involved in a plot to kill his wife. He went to defend himself in court.
Uh-oh.
The judge kept saying, yeah, you can't do that. Yeah, you can't ask questions that way. But they wouldn't say, well, here, if you ask it this way. They did nothing to help him. It's an adversarial system where they say you're innocent until proven guilty. But I think we all know that unless you have money, power, and influence, you're fucked.
I don't even think it matters if they have money, power, and influence. You're guilty. You're presumed guilty from the beginning.
I don't know. OJ got away with a couple murders.
But everyone thought he was guilty. Yeah, well, money ultimately led to his freedom.
Well, everybody
and the fact that he was famous. It didn't matter if he was black or not. It was the fact that he was famous.
Right.
But it's...
money.
Everyone is presumed guilty. I don't know anybody that thought he was innocent during the whole trial, or especially after the trial.
But
So-
imagine how differently it would have gone when they called OJ to the stand before they even got to the whole "if the glove don't fit" Johnny Cochran defense. Mm-hmm. He refuses to swear on that Bible. They're going to go, "Oh, fuck you, Orenthal."
I would say you're probably right. They probably would. Some of them would be like that, and others might be like, he's being honest.
Okay, so let's rip a page from the history books of your life. We've talked about the mysterious circumstances in which how your house burned down
Yeah.
with your ex-wife, who you thought, and you had, in your own opinion, supporting evidence to state that you thought she was trying to off you and your boys.
Well,
That is-
I don't know about the boys, but
That's not an accusation I'm making. That's just how you felt.
it looked like it.
Now, law enforcement never did prosecute because they didn't feel they had a strong enough case. However, let's say hypothetically, they did believe it. They did incarcerate her on charges of attempted murder and arson. And then when it came time for you to get up on the stand, if you pulled a page out of my book and said, well, do I have to swear on the Bible because I don't believe in God? I don't think it's right. I should have to swear on this book that I think is a work of fiction. Any evidence you had, no matter how fucking strongly it supported your argument right there, is viewed at askew, biasly, by the jury. So the defense would be like, thank you. Slam dunk.
No,
Think about that.
See, and there is the difference between being honest about it, I don't believe in God, or just playing along with it just so you think you have more credibility.
But that's a slippery slope because if somebody let's say that you're a member of like an atheist organization. They have organizations for atheism.
Yeah.
You can join them. You can pay dues and be a recognized member of them. And you swear an oath on a Bible. And then her defense lawyers come back with, well, aren't you a member of this atheist organization?
See,
you just swore an oath on a Bible, a book that you adamantly profess you don't believe in as a work of truth.
Yeah, that's true, but I am not as much of a liar as she is.
Well, that would work maybe in the court of the movie Liar, Liar, or on Family Guy, but not in real life. So this is the system that we have in place that is steeped in tradition, that is one of Christian preference. It's not fucking fair. I never in a million years want to have to take the stand and be forced to make that decision. Because I would ask for a sidebar with the judge stating, here's the deal. Here's what I believe. Here's how this is going to look. I feel like I'm not going to get a fair shake. But if I swear on a book I don't believe in, aren't I committing an act that's akin to perjury? I'm swearing to tell the truth on a book I view as full of lies. I'm building my foundation upon the sand, not upon the rock. Which is something I was taught in Bible school.
I would like to see the religion stuff taken out of the courts, just as you've very well described the situations that can arise for people in your shoes. Whereas for people like me, I am not overly religious, but I'm not underly religious. I'm just whatever. So that'd be cool. I mean, as far as having it removed from money and stuff, I guess I don't really care if it's there or not. Because I don't look at it as the Christian God. I don't look at it as forcing religion upon anyone. I just look at it as it's just there. And it means all gods. Allah, Buddha, Judaism. I mean, it's all the same. They just say God because it's more general. People can recognize it. People would probably be more offended if it said, in Buddha we trust, or in Allah we trust, instead of just saying God.
Why wouldn't it say, in America we trust?
It could.
Or it could say, America united as one. Because,
if you could come up with something replacing God with trust, something like that, I could actually get behind that.
Okay, well, here's the curveball.
I think a lot of people could.
Here's the
Except for the
curveball.
people that hate
Bottom
America.
of the ninth. 2 strikes. Here's the curveball to strike you out with the let it be.
Okay.
How do you think a Native American feels passing a $20 bill that says, in God we trust? Especially if they're using it to purchase something at a shopping mall that in all likelihood could be built upon a Native American burial site. There's a legacy of hate on our currency. I'm not Native, and maybe some people who are Native might like that I'm thinking sensitively towards their cause. They may think that it's farcical that a white man gives a shit. Someone will be like, don't fucking worry about it. You're one of the white devils too. I understand it. I think it's ridiculous, but I'm just saying, think of the people that have to see that. Now, those people that would be offended that we take it off the money, I almost feel like there's fewer of them than there are that would be like, yeah, fucking take it off the money. If we're going to be a nation, let's be a nation that's about ourselves, not about history, because there's a lot of fucked up shit in our history that we'd probably like to forget about, like slavery or the Civil War, which was about slavery and
ending slavery.
But slavery was also, kind of stooped in some of that religious theism mindset.
Well, I'm not sure.
Some people were like, it goes against God to own another man. Oddly enough, those of the North think all men are created equal. Mm-hmm. Right? We hold these truths to be self-evident, which then relates to the one nation under God.
Yeah.
It's in the moral fiber of everything we've ever done, and this is where I'm wrapping it up. If we as a country did with the mindset of Christian preference and the one nation under God, in God we trust, God bless America, and we switched the Pledge of Allegiance back to one nation, indivisible, to the way it was pre-Cold War. If we took in God we trust off the money and we put America united as one. If instead of God bless America, it was just bless America, a nation united. It's all about the people. It's not about some of the people. It's about all of the people. And in no way does that suggest influence or preference to any one theistic group.
I can get behind that. I think a lot of people would.
And that would be Jmann in 2020's platform. One of my platforms is, I want to take the God out of government. Don't hit the panic button, because without God everywhere to remind those that don't believe in God that you do, what we have is one less thing that offends people. And I know I harp on those that are ultra PC and far too sensitive, but this is an issue that I have lined up my arguments that I feel strongly suggest that it would benefit America to do what I did in 10th grade. I gave up God for Lent. And the sky's not going to fall if we take God off the money and out of the pledge. We're not going to overnight revert to barbarism. It's not going to go total anarchy overnight. The sun will rise the next morning if we do it. Just like when Trump got elected, people were like, settle down. The sun's going to come up tomorrow just like it would have if Hillary won.
It's like they all said, we survived Bush, we'll survive Obama. Well, we survived Obama, we'll survive Trump. We survived Clinton. We survived every president in the past, the good ones and the bad ones.
So I strongly think it's time for America to take a look at the legacy that religion holds in our history and the influence that it holds over the current peoples of the nation and the ways that it handicaps certain freedoms that we hold to be self-evident. Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It podcast show. For the What Do We Call It podcast, I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan, Tim.
And that's the end.
Swearing on the Bible is just one more way of controlling people and keeping them in line, and it's one more thing that holds us back as a species.